Hello everybody and welcome to another video with me, Matt Goddard. And today I am going to be talking about this guy here, Moses Itauma, versus this guy here, Dillian Whyte. Now, what a fight we have here. This is not one that I predicted. Moses Itauma, the biggest prospect in heavyweight boxing, some might argue, certainly in British heavyweight boxing, against the, I suppose, now veteran of world level heavyweight boxing, that guy, Dillian Whyte. Now, records. We have got Moses Itauma, 12 and over 10 knockouts. His last three victories, all great performances. Marius Weck, Dempsey McKean, and of course, Mike Balogun, who he knocked out with that beautiful short hook. One of the best heavyweight knockouts I've seen in recent years with regards to skill set and what's required to do that. So, very impressive. Dillian Whyte coming off the back of three wins himself. Jermaine Franklin Jr., Christian Hammer, and Teti. His record is 31 and 3. 21 knockouts in that, 31 wins, but also he's been knocked out all three times. However, look at the names that have knocked him out. They are Tyson Fury, Alexander Povetkin, who he then avenged himself upon and knocked out, and then, of course, Anthony Joshua earlier on in his career. So you couldn't really have a better repertoire of losses if you wanted one at all, which obviously ideally you wouldn't have. But this is a fight that I didn't call. It's a brave move on Itauma's part. I think the promotional team have decided that he is an enormous prospect and they want to catapult him forward. I think from a skill set perspective, it makes sense. It's quite a natural progression in terms of coming off the back of the win against Balogun in the way he did. Other than Dillian Whyte, who else have you got that he could compete against that isn't kind of at his peak now? We obviously don't want to jump straight in with Caballero or Parker or Usyk. You want to build up to that, and Whyte seems to be the perfect stepping stone, which segues me nicely onto what I think is probably the biggest issue with this fight, and that's that Dillian Whyte is going to be very upset about the fact that he's being considered a stepping stone, and that he is essentially being turned into a gatekeeper to the upper realms, the upper echelons of heavyweight boxing. I mean, Dillian Whyte is a proud man. He is a brave man and a warrior, and it won't feel nice to have that said about him or thought about him. And so I would say that's probably why Whyte looks in such great shape. It's probably the best shape I've seen him in about 6, 7 years. He looks lean, he looks fit, he looks sharp with his punches, and I think he's going to look to make a statement and prove that he is long, long from reaching his end. I think he's got all the potential to then come again if he beats Itauma. Now that is a big if. Because Moses Itauma, as any of you have seen my other video will know, is an exceptional talent. He can punch with both hands. He can punch at short range, mid range, long range. He can counter punch. He can be aggressive. He can do it on the back foot. He can do it on the front foot. He's got a great jab. He picks up rounds. We haven't really seen his chin tested, but as he said in an interview recently, what people's obsession with having chin tested comes from, he doesn't know, because at the end of the day, you'd rather never have your chin checked because your defense is so good. And if you do have to have your chin checked, then maybe that's a reflection of your boxing ability as opposed to your quality of your chin. Nobody really wants to get chin checked, although sometimes it's a bit invigorating. But anyway, moving on. Again, Itauma Whyte, this fight, it's a tough one. Why do I think it's a tough one? Dillian Whyte gets hurt and fires back. He gets dropped, fires back. He always does his best to go out on his shield. He's an absolute warrior. He carries power in both hands. And he's tough. We've seen him hit with big shots and come back and hurt people. He had Anthony Joshua hurt. I don't think I ever saw him have Fury hurt. I don't think he got anywhere near Fury, to be honest, watching that fight back. Povetkin, both fights, seem to be on a knife edge. And Dillian Whyte is a brave man, a strong man, and he's going to be fit for this fight for exactly the reason I said. How do I see the fight playing out? I think realistically, Moses Itauma is going to go out there. He's going to begin with the jab. He's going to make sure his head's moving off the center line. He's going to keep moving laterally. Dillian Whyte doesn't work great in circles, as Tyson Fury demonstrated. And if the pace drops, he doesn't tend to have the engine to push it. So Itauma will slow him down, in my opinion. He's not going to go out there and try and rush him. He's going to slow him down. He's going to keep picking his shots, and he's going to force Whyte to make some silly decisions and end up rushing in. I think Whyte may look reasonably good for 3 to 5 rounds, and then I think we're going to see Itauma stop him between 6 and 9. I realise that's quite a large scope around, so perhaps let's just say round 7. But my actual prediction is between 6 and 9. And I think Itauma is going to walk him into counter punches. I think that's how it's going to happen. I don't think it'll be an aggressive knockout or stoppage. I think it will come from counter punches. I think Whyte will make a mistake. Itauma will punish it. And unfortunately, I don't think Whyte will be able to recover in this instance. I think Itauma is a good finisher. I think he's an intelligent finisher as well. He doesn't tend to panic and get out of shape and just flap punches. He seems to be organised, keeps everything in good position, keeps his defensive responsibility fair, as we saw against Balogun. He can punch at all sorts of angles, which gives him an advantage over Whyte, who is fairly singular in his method of attack. He's a bit of a clubber. He's a bit sluggerish in terms of how he punches. He's not enormously sharp and snappy, unlike Itauma, who is exactly that with every shot he throws. And those shifts up and down is going to be a problem for Dillian Whyte. I really think it is. So there's my prediction. I think Moses Itauma is your winner. Stoppage between round 6 and 9. I'll go for 7, maybe even KO 7. I think Whyte will put in a good performance, but I think unfortunately this will signal the end for him, or certainly a decline for him. Obviously, we've seen with Joseph Parker a few bad losses. Doesn't mean the end of your career, but Whyte obviously needs to be far more active if he wants to have any sort of resurgence or comeback. So this is it. Itauma's going to win, and I think then we will see Itauma moving on to challenge the likes of Caballero, Hrgovic, Dubois, Usyk eventually, if Usyk is still around. If not, I think maybe Itauma will be the man to then progress the division and lead from the front lines. British heavyweight boxing has got probably the most accomplished, for such a small island with such a small population comparative to some of the other big nations in heavyweight boxing, namely the USA. We are world leaders in heavyweight boxing, and we have been for a long time. Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Every generation we seem to have good names at the top. David Haye, don't know why I ignored David. Poor David. David Haye we've got a claim to being one of the best heavyweight nations on the planet, especially when you consider, like I say, we have such a small population, very similar to Japan's success in the smaller weight classes. And with that, I should also say, sad news, two boxers lost at the weekend, so rest in peace to those men. And we've always got to remember that boxing isn't just a sport. People are in there taking risks with their life, and you have to respect that and admire the courage that it takes to do that. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts on this prediction, this fight, these two guys. Let me know what you think. I've obviously picked this guy, not this guy, this guy. Making sure I was doing it on the right side. It's quite confusing because the thing's mirrored for some reason. Anyway, make sure I'm doing it on the right side there. Not that guy, this guy. This guy's going to win between 6 and 9. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens to Dillian Whyte afterwards. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Any questions you have, any requests for videos. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And have a great day, everybody.